Greta is having her moment, a well-deserved moment. She has come a long way from her mumblecore films featuring the Duplass brothers, Joe Swanberg and company. She is now directing big blockbuster toy movies and potentially a Chronicles of Narnia movie. Gerwig has made it, and it is officially 4 credits to her name. As I rewatch all of these films, it is still really hard to pinpoint her style compared to other directors I have ranked. Fincher is meticulous, Aronofsky loves his determined characters with fatal flaws, Lars von Trier loves being a freak.
Very much thought used. No, not too much, because Israel is a pain in the ass.
Greta is kinda all over the place, and this may be just because she is still very young in her directorial career. We have all seen the behind-the-scenes footage of Lady Bird to know that she just has the juice when it comes to directing. She understands people and knows how to get fantastic performances out of her talent. In her early works, she is only around a select posse, so it makes sense now given the tools, she can create some gorgeous films. I will admit, watching her act in indie films definitely gives me more insight on how she also directs her talent. I think after her last 3 films, actors and actresses are rushing to be in the next Greta film. Kinda sort of the same way how you hear actors rushing into Ari Aster films nowadays. The more I research her roots, the more I am happy she has made it. Alright, let's get on with this.
Oh, it looks like you guys are gonna kiss. You guys should kiss.
I'll give it to you straight, this doesn't feel like her movie. Quick plot synopsis. Long-distance couple struggles. She has a co-directing credit on this film, so I will treat it as her film. But after watching Joe Swanberg's Netflix show, Easy, this just feels like a long, Easy episode. Easy is an anthology series on Netflix about people having problems with romance and partners in their lives. The best part of Easy is the best part of this film as well. The authenticity to it all. These couples feel so real. If you see where I am headed, this doesn't really feel like Greta's project, which is totally fine. Joe Swanberg's voice is just more apparent in this film. I just wanted to give that context because I know most people haven't seen this film. I fully recommend this show, and it's about 25 minutes an episode, and it's fully polished. This film, on the other hand, feels a bit amateurish, but it's also part of its charm. You may view some of the conversations as extremely trivial and annoying, but that's what I love about this film. Lots of time in this film is just the couple being playful.
Don't eat the brown part. Ew.
It's the simple shit like this that can totally annoy others. Meanwhile, I'm just kind of like, that's so adorable, I want that. The last 30 minutes of this film is pretty awesome, pretty tragic, and definitely a payoff that you are looking for. I don't know if I can fully recommend this movie, but I can fully recommend his show, Easy.
I have thoughts.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care. Let me tell you something. We don't care.
Who hates men, like, truly hates men.
If any of you watch my Barbie review, you know that I adore and love this film. There are some thoughts I didn't show with my last review, so here we go. Yes, this is an excellent film, and she has never been bolder with her filmmaking. She has never been given more resources, and we have to admit it, she delivered. This is when it started to all tie together for me that she is an actor's director. I've watched enough behind the scenes featuring her directing style, and she is just pretty much everyone's best bud. Not saying most directors publicly have beef with most of their talent.
I don't give a flying fuck into a rolling donut about what Al Pacino thinks.
Could you imagine an actor saying anything negative happening on a Greta Gerwig set? This is what brings out the best in actors. I've kind of sat on this for a while, but I initially believed that Robert Downey Jr. should win the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor this year, but the more I think about it, I really want to give it to Ryan Gosling. It would be one of the most unique Oscar winners in recent memory, going to one of our A-listers that was facilitated by our homegirl Greta. I underestimated the sorrow beats to this film and how effective they were. Regardless of how silly some of the Ken moments are, it's hitting on something that is more profound than you would expect in this movie, making commentary about how everything Ken does is to get a Barbie's attention, and how these men truly lack individualism. You're an idiot if you believe this movie hates men. It's just criticizing a class of men that lacked individualism and try to become a sponge to garner attention and affection. The world created here is so fantastic. I love the hyper-exaggeration of the worlds. The fish out of water stuff is all hilariously done. I love the music in this film. Unironically been blasting the Ken song in my car. Don't you judge. I think it's a pretty nifty idea by them to misdirect us with the child, and Barbie is actually chasing the mom of the kid instead, and that the mom is just longing for the child she remembered and not her angsty one. When it's revealed, it's such an endearing moment of, oh, she wants her kid back. As I think about this movie more and more, the more I raise my rating. It will probably stay in my top 5 of the year, that's for sure. Okay, we've talked about Barbie enough this year.
And then to jail, and then back to City College, and then maybe you'd learn to pull yourself up and not expect everybody to do everything.
Okay, now we absolutely cook in Greta. Of all the cliche girl boy going to college movies, this is probably the very best one. Where do I even start? I guess I'll start with the writing. I watched this first when I was about 20 years old, and rewatching it as a 25-year-old man, I got just as much out of it. That is impressive when I'm talking about relating to an 18-year-old high schooler that has problems with her mother, which I do not. We are besties. If you don't know, this is a film about an independent high school girl craving culture and something more in life. Aren't we all, Saoirse Ronan? The writing to this film is perfect. We get all the same beats to this formula, but with the most authentic actions and lines to the setting. I love the football coach running the school play. I love the love-hate relationship with the mother. And I just love how this film finds a way to be unique in a really, really crowded space. The coming-of-age space. We all encounter this saga in our life, so it's hard to add to what filmmakers have already accomplished. The way Greta portrays love in this film is something to be admired. This film isn't Lady Bird falling head over heels for some guy in high school, as that is just a natural obstacle in this period. It's discovering what she really loves in life, and sometimes you appreciate things more when you remove it entirely from your life. She misses home, and as bitter as Greta makes the mother-daughter relationship look on film, they do love each other. Moving to a big city won't fix all of your problems. You hear a lot of people describe this as a sort of period piece, and I totally get where they're coming from. I do love even how simple it may seem, her desperately trying to grow and become her own person by giving herself her own name. Later in the film, realizing that her name given by her mother is who she is. Her identity is her home and the people that provide her love. The cinematographer Sam Levy absolutely captures 2000 Sacramento. I love this idea conveyed as well that the first time she drove in Sacramento, it hit her how special it was. Home is special even if it takes a bit to realize it, even if it's the only place you know. She told the cinematographer that the film should feel like a memory, and it does. It's something I really enjoy about the film. I'm not saying I was a high schooler in 2002, but I'm still able to relate to this character. I had the same feeling where I grew up. It felt like there was nothing to do and I just couldn't wait to move. I wanted to grow on my own. Once I moved, I started to appreciate the small things from my old state that I took for granted. And most of all, I did miss my loved ones.
It's Bo time at Bojangles.
The beats she goes through in this film are just also relatable, and this is where I believe the mumblecore filmmaking helped her future. She was a part of so many films where the realism was the focus of the film, not the plot. When you are working with someone like Joe Swanberg for so long, you know how to capture little nuances in conversation that makes it feel so real. It feels like improv. Obviously, the performances tie this all together. Saoirse Ronan is the perfect rebel.
Listen, if your mother had the abortion, we wouldn't have to sit through this stupid assembly.
Laurie Metcalf is the perfect loving mother who is repeatedly beaten down by her angsty daughter. Also, side note, John Bryan score, fantastic. There is a reason why she is so inspiring to other people.
She's going to direct, and she wants to do it, and it made me so proud at the end of shooting when she's like, I want to do it. And I was like,
Well, you know that's
you're going to
because
do
of
it.
you, though. That is because of you.
Guys.
I have loved you ever since I've known you, Joe. I couldn't help it. And I tried to show and you wouldn't let me, which is fine.
No.
But I must make you here now and give me an answer because I cannot go on like this any longer. I gave up billiards. I gave up everything you didn't like. I'm happy I did. It's fine. And I waited and I never complained.
Yes, I am pretty confident with this at my number one. You can argue Lady Bird's originality trumps a refined classic to me, and I get where you're coming from if you believe this. I know she had much more time making Lady Bird compared to Little Women. I know Little Women has been redone more times than it probably should have. I am just telling you, without watching any previous adaptations, this has to be the best one. I haven't read Little Women since college, but frankly, I did not remember this being such a cold and depressing movie at times. A line at the start of the movie is a theme of the entire book.
Main character is a girl. Make sure she's married by the end. Or dead. Either way.
Excuse me?
When Alcott wrote Little Women, she was forced by publishers to make Jo get married, even though Jo is loosely based on herself, who never got married and continued to write. She had to sacrifice and compromise to get such a massive hit and let the real-life Jo exist through her. Well, in Greta's film, we get to have our cake and eat it too. I know other adaptations have also changed the ending. If you didn't know the original ending of Little Women, Jo gets married. In Greta Gerwig's Little Women, she continues writing and writes Little Women. Just thought all that needs to be said said before I start on this film. The choice that puts this above Lady Bird for me is how we break down a literary classic into two separate, easy-to-follow timelines, just a few years apart. The way this is cut together as well is so seamless. She utilizes mirroring events to connect the two timelines. It brings forth the conflict sooner, separating the two timelines keeps us in reality a bit, showing us a little hope and a little reality. The heart of this movie is the compromises women had to accept. Joe's sister Amy, played by Florence Pugh, gives up being an artist.
May I ask your last portrait be of me?
All right.
Now that you've given up all your foolish artistic hopes.
Polish up all my other talents and become an ornament to society.
And marries a man that she openly knows loves her sister more. But hey, he's rich, so win-win, right? She states early how marriage is just an economic proposal in this setting, nothing to do with love. Juxtaposing these two timelines shows us why they have to compromise and what they are giving up. All these women are so hopeful, and in the book they're all dead and married. Not in Greta's adaptation. This is by far Greta's most attractive looking film. Something that goes understated about this film too is the blocking. Characters are constantly moving and every conversation is flowing with great pace. Utilizes every room so perfectly. For a 140-minute movie, it never feels like a long film. It has been compared to Barry Lyndon-like when it comes to the cinematography, and I can't agree more. They filmed this in Massachusetts, as this is where Alcott is from. The cast is absolutely stacked, and I love Meryl Streep insisting on her being in this film.
Meryl actually told me she was going to be in the movie.
We can talk about it all day, how perfect Ronan and Greta are together, but I think we all know it's a match made in heaven. I love all of Greta's films, and I do believe she is an inspiring path for any filmmaker. She did all the technicals for about a decade, then took her time with the script that is very personal to her. When she got her opportunity, she was ready, and she was ready to keep firing off bangers. Hope you enjoyed the video. Which one of the 4 films did you enjoy the most? I understand Little Women has a cheat code source material, but it wins out for me. The female Hunter Biden makes banger movies.